Okay, let's talk tech. Everyone's obsessed with the Magnificent Seven, right? But today, we're going to look past them. We're looking ahead, way ahead to 2026 to find 5 tech stocks that could be the next big winners. Let's dive in. So here's the million-dollar question, isn't it? After this huge run for the big tech names, you've got to be wondering, did I miss out? Is it too late? Well, the analysis we're digging into today says not so fast. It looks like the next big wave is actually just starting to build. All right, here's the game plan for today. First, we'll hit the foundation, the memory boom behind AI. Then we'll check out a couple of challengers making a big comeback. After that, we'll see how 2 of the giants are reinventing themselves for the future. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about the single most important question. Are you an investor or a trader? All right, let's kick things off with the foundation. Think about it. To build the future of AI, it's not just about the flashy processors. You need something else. You need memory. And not just a little, but absolutely vast amounts of it. What we're seeing right now is the start of what could be a multi-decade supercycle for this one critical piece. And it's basically rewriting the rules of the game. And who's right at the center of this memory explosion? Well, it's a company you probably know, Micron Technology. Now, yeah, the stock's had a pretty nice run already, but the argument here is that it might still be cheap when you consider just how massive this whole AI shift really is. So what's the big deal with Micron? Look, the key thing to get here is that the old playbook for memory stocks is getting thrown out the window. For years, this was a brutal, up and down, boom and bust kind of business. But AI changes everything. It's not some fad, it's creating this long-term, sustained demand. And with supply being so tight, Micron is an incredible spot. We're talking about having, and I'm quoting here, unlimited margin control. That is a powerful, powerful position to be. Okay, next up, let's talk about the challengers. Now, these are 2 companies you definitely know. They're household names, but let's be honest, they've been kind of disappointing for a while now. But things might be about to change. There are some new catalysts popping up that could completely flip the script on their stories. And our first challenger is Intel. Man, they have been through it, haven't they? After a really rough patch, the stock has shown some serious signs of life over the last year. But here's the thing, even with that pop, it's still nowhere near its old all-time highs. That suggests there could be a ton of runway left if, and it's a big if, their big bet pays off. And this quote really says it all. You've got to understand, Intel's mission isn't just some corporate slogan. It's being framed as a national priority. I mean, you have major figures, even the CEO of their biggest competitor, NVIDIA, basically saying, yeah, we need them to succeed. When you have that kind of backing, that's a huge tailwind pushing you forward. So here's the bottom line on Intel. Their old-school PC and data center business, that's the stable floor. It keeps the lights on. But the real excitement, the potential home run, is this new Intel foundry business. The big bet is that by 2026, we're going to start hearing some major news, announcements that other big chip designers are picking Intel to build their best stuff. And you know how the market is, it's always looking to the future. Those announcements could be the exact spark that really gets this stock moving. All right, challenger number 2. Qualcomm. Now, for as long as we've had smartphones, these guys have basically owned the chips inside them. They are the absolute masters of getting huge performance out of a tiny chip without draining your battery. And now they're taking that superpower and pointing it at some brand new, really exciting markets. So what are these new markets? Qualcomm is diving headfirst into something called physical AI. Just think of it as the brains that make things move in the real world. We're talking autonomous cars, those futuristic humanoid robots, all sorts of smart devices. And here's the kicker. Even though the business is growing really well in these areas, the stock has been, and the source calls it this, frustrating. It's just been underappreciated, trading at a pretty low valuation. But hey, one person's frustration can be another person's opportunity, right?
So let's just quickly compare these 2. It's pretty interesting, right? You've got Intel and Qualcomm. Both have been kind of frustrating stocks to own. Both look pretty cheap right now, but their comeback stories are totally different. Intel is betting the farm on manufacturing, becoming the world's factory for chips. Qualcomm, on the other hand, is all about powering the next generation of robots and autonomous, well, everything.
Hey, just a quick pause here. If you're getting some value out of this breakdown, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Stock Market Mojo. It really helps us out a ton. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, so we've done the foundation, we've done the challengers, now for the giants. And I know what you're thinking. How much bigger can the biggest companies in the world actually get? It's a fair question. But the argument here is that two of them are right on the edge of unlocking brand new growth engines. And we're talking multi-trillion-dollar opportunities that could literally redefine what these companies even are. And first up is Amazon. For years, the story has all been about AWS, right? That's the cloud business, the profit machine. But the focus here is actually shifting back to where it all started, to the original e-commerce business and the absolutely massive, untapped potential hiding there in plain sight.
So what's the secret sauce? It's that physical AI we were talking about earlier. Just picture it for a second. Amazon's warehouses, its delivery networks, but running with a tiny fraction of the people and costs they have today, all thanks to advanced robots and autonomous delivery drones and trucks. That's a game changer. It could finally flip that huge retail business from a low-margin operation into a massive profit center. And since Amazon's stock has kind of lagged some of the other big guys, there might be a lot of room for it to play catch-up.
Our second giant is Meta. Now, look, this company has spent an unbelievable amount of money on R&D. And yes, some of those big bets, cough, metaverse, cough, haven't exactly paid off yet. But all that spending on top-tier talent and crazy future tech, it might finally be about to pay off in a big way. The interesting angle on Meta is actually its flexibility. You've got to give Mark Zuckerberg credit for this. He's shown he's not afraid to pivot when something isn't working. And maybe more importantly, he's shown he's willing to listen to Wall Street and rein in the spending. That combo of a big long-term vision with the discipline to adjust course is really powerful. And just like we saw with Amazon, the fact that it underperformed for a bit could set the stage for it to outperform going forward. So we've covered a lot of ground, right? The foundation, the challengers, the giants. But underneath all of these specific stock ideas, there's a bigger, more important philosophy about how to even think about the market. And it all comes down to one simple, crucial question. And that question is this: are you an investor or are you a trader? Seriously, think about it, because how you answer that one question changes everything about how you should look at these stocks and really the entire market. There's this classic analogy, and it's just perfect. In the short term, the market is a voting machine. It's a popularity contest. It's driven by hype, by fear, by whatever the headline is that day. That's a trader's game. But in the long term, the market becomes a weighing machine. It stops caring about popularity and starts weighing the actual fundamental value and growth of a company. And that is where an investor lives. And that's what this all boils down to. The whole argument for these 5 stocks isn't about what's going to happen next week or next quarter. This is about a multi-decade AI supercycle that we're only in the first or second inning of. These companies aren't just stocks. They're basically critical infrastructure for global economic leadership. So if you're a long-term investor, if you're focused on that weighing machine, this is where you might find that real, consistent, long-term growth. And that's a wrap on our look at 5 potential tech winners for 2026 and beyond. Hey, if you want to stay on top of more deep dives just like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the Stock Market Mojo YouTube channel. Thanks so much for tuning in.